Okay guys, I am super happy to be recording this video right now. As you can see by the title, we passed the evaluation phase of the breakout trading account and we now have access to a $10,000 funded account. So once we start to trade in the new year, we're going to be trading with real money and money that we can start to cash out to the bank and pay ourselves a little bit and treat ourselves to some things, right? So let's go over the winning trade. Now, we went for a POPCAT long, as the title will probably also say. Another thing, I've also got the face cam on today. I'm going to try and do that for all future videos, or the majority of them, just because I think it increases the quality, allows me to kind of get my point across a little bit more, and there's just a bit more emotion in the video that's a little bit more fun to watch, right? So, yeah, as you can see, POPCAT, we ended up winning this trade as well, as the title says, etc. So there's no point me not spoiling the outcome, because you already know it. But I'm going to give you my reasonings for this trade and why I took it. So it was approximately an hour after we closed our original short, which we made. Let's see, let's go to our evaluation account that we passed and see the profits that we made from them. So this one was a $675 profit to begin with for a 4% move, and that put us to around about $10.4 thousand on the account. So we were looking for a $600 profit move on this one to pass the account, which is exactly what we got. So my reasonings for taking this trade. First reasons, these are the smaller reasons. We'll start with the smaller reasons. So a very aggressive move to the downside with absolutely no green candles, absolutely no sort of liquidity sweeps to the upside, no sort of reason for anyone in a short to be closing their positions, right? Most people would have just been moving their stop losses into profit, into profit, into profit, and following it down, or entering trades at any point here and then moving their stop losses into profit, break even, so what, and whatever else. So once we got down to the first point of interest on POPCAT of a support, that's when I started to kind of look for a potential option to get into the market. So as you can see, this hourly level is just super clean, really obvious area that people are going to be looking at to potentially start closing their shorts, opening longs, etc., and doing whatever else. So once we got to this price action, you can see we had a 15-minute doji candle. That was already a sign that sellers had started to step out of the market. As you can see, every other candle was almost fully momentum to the downside. This was a full doji candle, other than this one here as well, which was in the middle of range. So that showed me that sellers were starting to slow down. The second reason was, well, there's two divergences. There's the kind that I like to kind of take, and there's also the kind that everyone knows about, which I also like to take. The first divergence, which is the one that I use personally quite a bit when I'm doing these low time frame trades, is the divergence against Bitcoin and Ethereum. So POPCAT at these levels started to show a lot of strength in terms of, well, relative strength compared to its previous move to the downside in this area, right? It's that support, it makes sense to. But as you can see on Bitcoin, we had this aggressive move to the downside, 1.10% over the course of 20 minutes, and POPCAT, as you can see, also moved about 1.7%. But in terms of the distance it had been moving down before, this was almost nothing. That was a really strong hold from POPCAT, in my personal opinion. So I saw that it was starting to show some strength and diverge against Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that was one of the good reasons. Another one of the reasons why we wanted to start entering along here was due to the fact that when we pushed quite aggressively that to the downside through this support level, we pretty much reclaimed it instantly, right? We just retraced it straight away, which told me that people weren't really looking to be selling down here. They were taking profits, and once we pushed back up, people were just aggressively taking profits on their short and weren't planning to open new shorts, right? So but also with this sort of price action, it also allowed some people to then start shorting, thinking that the price was going to go down, it's going to reject this level and move down, trapping them and just adding liquidity to the squeeze if we do go up, which is obviously what happened. So the final reason, which was the main reason we entered this trade, was because Bitcoin started to show a beautiful quad divergence on the 5 minutes. So as you can see, for those of you that don't know what a divergence is, it's where price will do one thing and the RSI will do the opposite. So in this case, price was going lower and the RSI was going higher. So for example, a lower low here, lower low, lower low, lower low. Whereas on the divergence, so I make this a little bit bigger, there it is. We had a lower low and we had a higher low, higher low, higher low, right? And we just started to push up whilst price was pushing down, which usually is a good sign that price is going to start to retrace, which in this case it didn't do it very aggressively, but we knew that POPCAT was showing a lot of strength in these support levels and had a lot of potential to squeeze, to the point where all we needed was some green candles on Bitcoin to really show some strength on POPCAT. So for example, as you can see, Bitcoin moved 0.6%, whereas POPCAT moved almost 10, right, 7.5% to the upside. So that's exactly what we were looking for. We obviously didn't need to take the entire move, we only needed to take this amount in order to pass the account. So what ended up happening was, once Bitcoin started to show a little bit of strength and allow POPCAT to do what it was trying to do at these levels, we just had this squeeze. So Another thing that I like to do is if I'm entering a long, then I like to enter on a red candle. If I'm entering a short, then I like to enter on a green candle, right? And I like to kind of enter on the wick of those candles. So once I started to see this bit of strength here from POPCAT come into the market, I waited for any sort of red candle on the 1 minute, and then I entered on the wick. So this first 1 minute candle, we pushed down 0.3%. I entered on the wick. As you can see, this is where the entry was. And then for 1 minute, we did push down a slight bit more before then starting to push into that squeeze, right, and take out these levels. So the first level we were targeting was above these wicks on the 5 minute, which is what was taken. Perfect. That's when we put our stop loss break even. We had a nice close on the 5 minute. We didn't reject. Started to push up higher. Bitcoin started to show a little bit of strength as well, or not strength, but it started to kind of go up, right, which was enough for POPCAT to do this. Then we were focusing. We were looking for this hammer candle wick, and then this little cluster, and then this was the main target here because it's below this resistance, right? So this was the main wick that we were targeting for the sweep, which is, as you can see, was taken before we then had that move to the downside of 2.4%. But by the time we hit this area here, we pretty much banged perfectly the exact amount that we needed to make to pass the funded account before that kind of small downtrend, which either way, it still would have eventually obviously taken us out and pass the account anyway, but we managed to pass it on this wick here, which was super nice. So that's pretty much the reason for the trade. I think it was just a perfect trade, really. It was slightly different to the trades I usually like to take. I like to wait for some sort of cluster and then some sort of level to form like this, and then I like for it to kind of reject and give a really nice a wick candle into that resistance before pushing down, which was how this trade went. But I just couldn't ignore this trade. This was just too picture perfect for me to want to get in and take the squeeze trade. So that's what we did, and it paid off, and we now have a funded account, which I'm going to start trading in the new year, most likely, just due to the fact that I think the volume is going to be really crappy for the next week or so. Obviously, you've got Christmas, New Year's, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, etc., whatever else, and then I think the 27th and the 28th on weekends anyway. So every day this week is going to be pretty crappy in terms of trading. So we're just going to stay away, enjoy our week, and then yeah, have some drinks, get drunk, and yeah, basically celebrate. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I'm going to try my best, like I mentioned, to use the face cam for the future videos as well, just to increase the quality. I'm going to try and add a little bit more editing to the videos. Not that I necessarily think they need them, but just a little bit of eye candy stuff to put on the screen and stuff like, I don't know, I'll come up with something. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care and peace.